I've got the Dungeon Master's Guide. I've got a 12-sided die. Seriously though, Wizards of the Coast gave me the new DMG. And there's some fun stuff in here, so we're going to cover it today. Well, to be more specific, we're going to cover the brand new magic items and a little bit of crafting. But before we get into that, let me quickly mention all the new stuff to expect in this book, so you get a general idea what's going on here. Right now, content creators are the only people who have this book. Skip to this timeline if you just care about the magic items itself. Here's what to expect in this book. 1. Sound advice for DMs of all experiences. 2. Tracking sheets. These will also be available on D&D Beyond. It's for NPCs, settlements, bastions, magic items, stuff like that. Sadly, there's none for crafting magic items. I thought that was really strange. 3. Encounter building is now in Chapter 4. Difficulty calculations have changed. I might make a video on this, but the monster manual needs to come out first. 4. Ready-made elements. Sample adventures are in Chapter 4. A campaign setting is in Chapter 5. And they come with maps and battle maps. You can run 7 whole adventures in 4 pages. I really want to make a video on that because it makes DMing really easy and you learn a lot from it. 5. Expanded and revised magic items. We're going to look at the expanded parts. 6. Bastion. Base building with fun mechanics. I haven't looked too deep into it. 7. Lore glossary. Important people and locations throughout the D&D multiverse. 8. Custom backgrounds is in this book. Things that are gone are oversized weapons, Death Cleric, and Oathbreaker. Now for the biggest one. Monster statistics by challenge rating is missing. It's the first thing I looked up. That's literally the Bible page. It's the most important part of the old DMG. That makes me really worried. I use that thing. But it might have just been moved to the monster manual, which kind of makes sense, but I don't know. That's for a future video. That's the gist of everything noteworthy. There's bound to be more, but this is what I've noticed so far. There's some new siege weapons, but I wish they had a price tag and were easier to use. It would be cool if we got a subclass that uses siege weapons, but that's never gonna happen. Anyways, let's actually start the video. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where we can craft Mysium apparatus in 5 days for 200 gold with a friend. Now, let me be clear, Mysium isn't in this book, but if Ravnica is allowed, then you can potentially do this. If you don't know what Mysium is, then link in the description. By the way, I'm under NDA, which means I can't show direct screenshots of the book, but I can talk about them and write things out to you. Now, let's begin. There are 19 brand new magic items. Rest are revised, and some of them come from Xanathars, Tashes, Van Richtens, and even Book of Many Things. I'm not going to go through every revised item, but I can quickly talk about some of them so you get an idea. Like Sphere of Annihilation got boosted. Cube of Force got nerfed to the ground and is basically brand new. If you want to see the old version of Cube of Force, link in the description. Wands also got nerfed, but I want to talk about that in the crafting video. I honestly think optimizers are going to craft more often now, especially if they're a thief rogue. I touched on some of the mechanics here, but I want to talk more about it in a separate video. From now on, when I make future builds, I will talk about crafting magic items. By the way, I thought there would be individual price tags for magic items in the DMG, but that's sadly not the case. Instead, we have this. And I do think it's better written than the old DMG. It details how you can find uncommon and sometimes rare items in cities. And then for really out there items, you have to go to the City of Brass or Sigil to find them. Here's the price tags for the items, and then at the bottom it says half value for consumable items other than scrolls. Scrolls are in the player's handbook. Anyways, brand new magic items. I'm going to be covering them by rarity. Here we go. Variety first, because it's what I find the most interesting. Common is too boring to start with. Enspelled Staff requires attunement. I expect people to maybe craft this as an uncommon magic item. Bound into the staff is a spell of level 8 or lower. The spell is determined when the staff is created, and can be any school of magic. The staff has 6 charges and regains 1d6 expended charges daily at dawn. While holding the staff, you can expend 1 charge to cast its spell. If you expend the staff's last charge, roll 1d20. On a 1, the staff loses its properties and becomes a non-magical quarterstaff. Then you see the list, you get the points. Let me explain basic magic item crafting. Tools are more useful now for crafting. Creating a staff needs woodcarver's tools. You also need arcana proficiency. To put a spell into the item, you need to have it prepared. Let's say you want to make a staff of cure wounds. It's a heal stick with charges that you get back every day. It's better than potions. Very simple. I would use it out of combat. Throughout the whole crafting process, you need to always have it prepared. A work day is 8 hours. They don't need to be consecutive, so if you're short resting, you can work on the item for an hour. Crafting does not interrupt the short rest. Look at the bullet points. You can also craft while traveling in a cart. You just sit there and work. There's a lot of ways to squeeze in hours here and there in the adventuring day. To speed up the crafting process, you can have someone assist you in crafting the item. This divides the time needed to create the item by the number of characters working on it. Normally only one person can assist you, but the DM can allow more. You also need raw materials. This is where the DM fiat comes in. There's a 75% chance you'll find the materials you need in a city. 25 in settlements. If there's no materials, then you have to wait 7 days to look again. Obviously, there's more ways to find material, like maybe treasure. But this is what the book says. If the magic item incorporates an item that has a purchase cost, like the staff, which is 5 gold, you must pay that entire cost. You can craft it while crafting the magic item, but I don't recommend you do this because it adds 8 or more hours, even when it's something small like a dagger. Anyways, assuming you buy the item, it's gonna take you 10 days to craft the staff of cure wounds. That's 80 hours. If you have someone that can assist you consistently, then it's half the time, 5 days. That's 40 hours. The total price is 205 gold. This is a good deal. It's gonna take some sessions if you don't have downtime, but having something always in production is always good. It can even be like Wand of Magic Missile, which doesn't require attunement, and anyone can use it. Having any number of them, even at endgame, is clearly good. The wand got nerfed, by the way. Anyways, that's basically the gist. A level 1 Enspelled Staff is very good to craft, because you get a lot of charges, and you get to pick the spell. There's also Enspelled Armor and weapons too. In Armor, the spell must belong to Abjuration or Illusion schools of magic. In weapons, it has to be Conjuration, Divination, Evocation, Necromancy, or Transmutation schools. Other than that, they all work the same way, basically. Making a magic weapon that has, I don't know, let's go with Cure Wounds again, for melee martials, for example, is a good idea. With it, they can bypass immunities and resistances. So getting this into production as soon as possible is a really good idea. Thief Rogue with Woodcarver's tools can create a True Strike longbow. That means they get super consistent double sneak attack. I made a video about Thief and double sneak attack not too long ago. Link in the description. Depending on the build, there's a lot of directions you can go with this, which makes this item really cool for crafting. Wait, hold on, I just realized just now that this doesn't follow normal casting time. You just cast the spell. It's a divine intervention moment. So if you hypothetically put ceremony in it, you can just marry somebody instantly. I don't think you should do this, I'm just bringing it up because I thought it was funny. Well, actually, you can make holy water. There's potential here. Maybe you can make money out of the holy water stuff. As soon as you make the item, you instantly get your money back. And every day you can make 50 gold on average. I've changed my mind. Ceremony stick is pretty good. Anyways, we gotta move on. Common magic items. They tend to be meme or flavor items. They're just fun little toys like a cloak of billowing. Let's start with the best one. Kobold plushie, wondrous item, common, requires attunement. You gain the pack tactics feature when you attune to this item. Perfect item, 10 out of 10, and it's super strong too. Kobold, that's overpowered. Yeah, that's why you should buy it. Fights are very dangerous, so you need a little bowl to help you out. We recently reached our goal, so that means the plushies are currently in full production. Thank you very much to everyone who's ordered so far. Does that mean I can't get a plushie? Am I too late? Oh no! No, the plushies will always be available at the Pack Tactics store. You can order a Bold anytime you want. But I highly recommend you order now while they're being produced right now. Maybe they made extras and you'll get one by November or Christmas time. So check out the Bold. He's got really big ears and he's a powerful magic item. Come on, he gives you advantage on your attacks. Back to the video. First up is Bead of Nourishment and Bead of Refreshment. The names basically spell out what they do. The Nourishment is a weaker version of Good Berries, and you can actually get fat from it, unlike Good Berries. Refreshment is something you drop into dirty water, and it turns into fresh, cold drinking water. Absolute worst case, this does work on piss. This doesn't work on poison or alcohol, by the way. Next, Pole of Angling. It's a pole that turns into a fishing pole. Pole of Collapsing can collapse into a 1 foot long rod. Rival Coin has 1 charge, regains charge daily at dawn. You do a coin toss, heads or tails. Heads lets you target a creature within 60 feet. They have to then make a DC 13 wisdom save, and on a fail they take 2d4 psychic damage, and disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of its next turn. Half damage on a success. Tails, you take 1d4 psychic damage. It's garbage. Sylvian Talon needs attunement. You understand non-written communication of all Fae, and they understand yours. You also get the message cantrip. Sadly, it's once per dawn use. Magic weapons are always useful, and communicating with Fae can be annoying or straight up scary because they trick you. This is an item probably worth holding on to when you're actively dealing with Fae in communication. And also, you don't have a magic weapon to begin with. Now let's move on to uncommon magic items. They're my personal favorite to hand out to players. I'm always curious to see what the party does with the Wand of Web. Anyways, Baba Yaga's Dancing Broom requires attunement. It's kind of like the Staff of the Python. You transform it into an animated broom and can command it to attack people. Sadly, even with small size, you can't ride it like a broom of flying, even though it does have 50-foot fly speed. Animated brooms are small creatures. This item's pretty good early game. It has flyby, it does 1d4 plus 3 damage, it has multi-attack, AC of 15, HP of 17, and commanding it to skirmish doesn't cost any of your actions. This has more staying power than the Staff of the Python because it's good at skirmishing. Next, Haggai. This is a Baldur's Gate 3 item. No attunement. 3 charges, 1 charge to cast Dark Vision or see invisibility. Recharge all charges daily at dawn. Dark Vision cast with no attunement is very good for creatures who don't normally have Dark Vision. But this item can only be crafted by hags, and hags can see through it, and that's awful. They're spying on you. If you kill the hags who made the item, then this item is pretty good. Potion of Pugilism. Drinking it makes it so you do an extra 1d6 force damage on a hit, and it lasts for 10 minutes. That's a long time, and it's not concentration or anything. Also, the potion tastes like spinach. It's a Popeye reference. If you want to create these potions yourself, you need proficiency in Arcana, and you need either Alchemist or Herbalist tool proficiency. The time it takes to craft them is 5 days, and it costs 100 gold. That's 40 hours. If you have a friend that can assist you consistently, it takes half the time, so that's 20 hours. Are they worth crafting for monks? Yeah, I'd say so. It's always good to have something in production while adventuring. You're a marshal, you're not doing very much. You can't craft scrolls, so you gotta do this. Or you help somebody make some other item. With Flurry, this is increasing your average damage by 9.8. That's taking crits and accuracy into account. You use these potions when you're about to go into a hard fight or a dungeon crawl. Simple. Now let's move on to rare magic item. There's only one. Cube of Summoning. This item is cool. It's a jack-in-the-box with a crank, and with a magic action, a random Tasha summon appears from the list. All of it is cast as a 5th level spell. No concentration and no attunement. You can only do this once per dawn. This summon martial box goes pretty hard. Normally I hate Tasha summons, but this is no concentration, there's no stupid price tag to it, and it doesn't require my attunement. So yeah, I'm gonna gonna be using this. But that's if I find it. Now for very rare items. You're probably gonna recognize all of these. They're finally in the game. Let's start with the one that made me smile. Lute of Thunderous Thumping. It's a club. It comes from the D&D movie, which is a great movie. You should watch it. It does an extra 2d8 thunder damage on a hit. If you're a bard, you can use your charisma mod instead of your strength for melee attack rolls. Sadly, it's just attack rolls for some reason. This does have the light property, so you can dual wield with it. I think this should have been a rare item instead of very rare. It's not powerful, and most bards won't use this. I think barbarians will probably use this, which is really funny. You'll probably see this appear as a meme item, but I wouldn't dismiss it right away. It might actually be a damage boost for someone. Next, Energy Bow. Can come in long bow or short bow. Requires attunement plus one bow that produces its own arrows that can do force damage. The arrow emanates bright light but disappears on a hit or miss. Keep in mind, longbow has a slow weapon mastery property. Now for the cool stuff. It has unique features built into the item. Arrow of Restraint restrains a creature instead of damaging it. They must succeed on a DC 15 strength save. If they fail, they will be restrained for 1 minute. They can take an action to break free, but they have to then make a DC 20 athletics check. This does not cost any resources, and it's hard to break out of. But unfortunately, this is only one attack, and at these higher levels, monsters usually have high strength. Now that I think about it, a caster with proficiency spamming this instead of cantrips is better. It doesn't matter what your stats are, the DCs are already set. Next feature, Arrow of Transport. Magic action, 60-foot range. You shoot a willing creature or a small object that isn't worn or carried, and it teleports within 10 feet of you. This shot doesn't do any damage. This is getting a friend away from danger, for example. This can be pretty crazy on a thief rogue. Again, no resources, it just costs an action. Last feature, Energy Ladder. Magic action, 60-foot range, flurry of arrows. At a wall to create a magical ladder up to 60 feet long. Disappears after 1 minute, no resources, just utility. Good bow. I really like how it has a lot of features baked into the item itself, and it's stronger than the Oath Bow. By the way, there are no new magical crossbows in this book. I find that really disappointing. If I was playing a martial or a half-caster, and I got to pick magic items, I would want a Dragon's Wrath weapon from Fizzbands. Next, Hat of Many Spells. All the remaining magic items that are left are from the 80s cartoon. You need to be a wizard to attune to this, and it counts as a spell focus. You can cast any spell through this hat from the wizard spell list, but the components can't cost more than 1,000 gold. When you do so, you have to make an Arcana check DC 10 plus the spell's level. On a success, you cast a spell using its normal casting time. On a fail, you roll on the random effect table. You expend a spell slot of that spell's level, and you can only cast through the hat once per short rest. I'm not reading the random table, I'll just have it on the screen. This is like Mizium, but with fewer options. If I'm a high level wizard, I really don't think I'll be using this very often, because usually I just prepare all the best spells, and they come up all the time. Next, Quarterstaff of the Acrobat, attunement +2 weapon. Can emanate dim light 10 foot with a bonus action, or after you roll initiative. And you can turn it into a 6-inch rod or a 10-foot pole. It sadly doesn't have a 10-foot reach when attacking. Keep in mind it does have topple, and Polar Master works with this. Like the energy bow, it has features. Advantage on acrobatics, it has one use reaction to get +5 AC to one attack, regains on a short rest or long rest, and a ranged attack. It has the throw property. The range is 30 to 120 feet, and it flies back to your hand. Now, sadly, this is not Staff of Power, which is the best quarterstaff. Everybody wants that staff. But I don't think this is bad. If it drops and I'm playing a Polar Master build, I will use it with a shield in the other hand. Now, normally with quarterstaffs, you can make it an arcane focus because you use the staff variant. That's why they're super good. I'm not sure if you could do this here. Anyway, speaking of shields, this one is crazy. Shield of the Cavalier, attunement +2 bonus to AC, that's a +4 total, and has additional features. First one, Forceful Bash. When you attack attack, you can replace one of your attacks with a forceful bash. It deals 2d6 plus 2 plus strength on a hit. The creature is moved 10 feet away, and if the creature is your size or smaller, you can knock them prone. No resource cost. That's awesome, but here's the best feature. Protective Field. Reaction when you or an ally within 5 feet of you is targeted by an attack or AoE. You create an immobile 5-foot emanation. The attack or AoE has no effect, and this can last up to 1 minute if you concentrate on it. Nothing can pass into or out of the emanation. You can't be damaged, nor can you damage anything outside. This is once per dawn use. This isn't like Arcane Arbeyance from Chronology Wizard, where you can instantly get Tiny Hut in combat, but it's still incredible. If you have a friend who is concentrating on something super duper important, then it's a good idea to protect them with this feature. This is an incredible shield. Last item, Thunderous Great Club. Needs attunement. You get 20 strength. You don't need to hold the item to get the strength, by the way. It does 1d8 thunder damage to any creature it hits, and an extra 3d8 to objects that aren't worn or carried. Great clubs have the push mastery, by the way. Features: Clap of Thunder, magic action, 30-foot cone that causes people to go prone, DC 15 strength save. It's very loud and does damage to non-magical items. It's 3d8. Doesn't cost resources. This is very powerful on a cleric who is concentrating on spirit guardians. Overall, this weapon is just better on a caster because of all the control. Here's the big feature: Earthquake. Magic action, 50-foot radius circle centered on a point of impact. Structures take 50 damage, and each creature in the area must succeed on a DC 20 dexterity saving throw, or fall prone. If that creature is concentrating, it must make a DC 20 constitution saving throw or be broken. In addition, you create a 30-foot deep and 10-foot wide fissure to open up anywhere in the area. And that's another dex save or full 30 feet. That's 3d6 damage. You can only use this feature once per dawn. 50-foot radius is massive. The damage is bad though, but think about the control. Both those features do affect your friends though. But overall, I think this is an awesome control item that's great on anyone really. I think casters will get the most out of it though, because spamming Thunderclap with AoEs like Web or Spirit Guardians goes a very, very long way. If I get this, I would maybe go 3 levels in Thief to make Clap of Thunder and Earthquake a bonus action use, and go super Unga Bunga from there. And that's it. That's all the new items. Pretty cool. I was hoping explosive arrows from Baldur's Gate would make it in the game. Or brand new crossbows, but nope. Nothing. Next video is crafting, because crafting magic items is a lot easier now, and it's really, really, really important now. Having something always in production is optimal, be it scrolls, potions, wands, whatever. We also need to integrate this habit of crafting things into our build progression. I've already been doing that for years with scrolls. Like I mention every build video, hey, create scrolls, create scrolls, create scrolls. But now things are even more complex. You have a ton of options now. I find that really fun. Anyways, end the video. Sorry for the long video. I hope you enjoyed it though. I've only had this book for like a week, and from what I've read so far, this is a lot better than the old DMG. It of course has its ups and downs, but I think dungeon masters in general are gonna like the advice that's here. My personal favorite so far is the sample adventures. Anyways, I hope I earned a like, comment, and maybe a subscription. Don't forget to check out the plushies. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye!